There are currently 7,099 living languages in the world today. Some portion of the Bible has been translated into 3,332 of those, with 1,121 complete copies of the New Testament and a complete Bible in only 670 languages. The Bible is far and away the winner of the most copies ever sold and continues to top the charts. There is one in almost every hotel room, in many homes across the United States. A lot of non-Christian homes have a Bible tucked away somewhere. So, with all these copies of the Bible available, we have it all together and understand how to read our Bibles, right? Well, not so much. Reading the Bible can feel like a daunting and at times an impossible task. Where do I start? Where should I go? Which version should I use? How far is far enough? Some will tell you to read it as a love letter. They want you to see it as God's love letter to you. Although there are times when that's certainly true. Imagine reading the death of Jezebel in 2 Kings 9:30 and 37, verse 33. He said, "Throw her down." So they threw her down, and some of her blood spattered on the wall and on the horses which trampled on her. That wasn't really something I wrote to my wife when we were dating, and probably not something I would recommend you write to that guy or girl you're really interested in. Maybe we should just read it literally then. Let's not put any labels on it. Let's just read it for what it says. Well, Isaiah 55:12 tells us that the trees clap their hands. Reading this statement literally leaves us with a lot more questions than answers. The obvious answer, especially in this context, says the verse is not intended to be read literally, but is figurative. So instead, we should read the Bible literarily. This is something Dr. Copine has said and has made famous. Don't read the Bible literally, read it literarily. Picture a long, complete story filled with narrative, law, poetry, history, wisdom, and prophecy. From beginning to end in different ways, the Bible points to Jesus. The Bible is split into two parts, the Old Testament and the New Testament. The Old Testament points towards Jesus, but ends before their hope is realized. The New Testament points back to Jesus. The Old Testament, called Tanakh in Hebrew. Tanakh is an acronym for the names of the three large sub-collections of the Hebrew Bible. The Torah, which is the law, Nevi'im, prophets, and Ketuvim, which is writings. The New Testament was completed after the resurrection of Jesus and also consists of history, teaching, and prophecy. So where should I start reading? We should be clear there's really no wrong place to begin reading. Every book has something to show us about the character of God and how we should live in this world, but there are better places to start than others. If you're pretty new at this whole thing, I would recommend starting in the Gospels. These are the first of 4 books of the New Testament, and I would start with Matthew and just go in order. These are the first because they show the life of Jesus and are the culmination of the hope in the Old Testament. They end the hope that has begun that the Old Testament talks about, the Gospels present. Jesus is shown and argued to be God's Son, and more importantly, a piece of God Himself. This is Matthew's goal, which is the first Gospel in the New Testament, showing a fulfillment of the hope that was prophesied in Genesis 3. If you're an old hat at this, and you have a lot of biblical knowledge, then go to the Old Testament. Many Old Testament books take us into the deep end of our faith. These books force us to find application and understand what God is doing in the background of many of these situations. Leviticus and Deuteronomy show us what's important to God, and Judges shows us what happens when we don't listen to God. Now we have a better direction on a starting point. Which version should I use? There are 3 different types of versions, or also called translations. The first is word for word. The King James, NASB, and ESV versions are word for word, meaning they were translated from the Greek using the best English words for each Greek word. These translations can be hard to read and are sometimes difficult to understand. Because as you can imagine, the Greek language is not like our English language. It's difficult to piece it all together and figure out where things should go. The Greek language actually in many ways is written backwards from the English. And so sometimes these translations can even feel backwards. To us. These translations can be hard to read and are sometimes difficult to understand, but they are most accurate. These versions are good for studying the Bible and trying to figure out how something was originally written. The next type is line for line, or sometimes called thought for thought. The NIV and NLT are famous translations in this section. These versions are good for daily reading. They are easy to read and are accurate. The last major heading is paraphrase. The Message is the best example of a paraphrase. We should be wary of using the Message for our daily reading, but can be a great tool if you are struggling to understand a verse. I personally prefer the ESV, but the NIV and NLT are good versions of the Bible as well. If you want to get as close as you can to the original, then you want to read the NASB. Read whenever's best for you. A lot of people say you should read in the morning, and if that works for you, that's what you should do. I can't read in the morning. I can't do anything in the morning. If you meet me and ask my wife, she'll tell you the morning is not my best time of the day. And so I don't read in the morning. I prefer to try to read in the middle of the day, if I can. But you've got to pick which time works best for you. You need to find a consistent time which works for you. If you want to deepen your faith, grow in your understanding of God, and grow in your relationship with God, then you need to read the Bible consistently. There will be times when you read multiple chapters at a time, and other times you'll only read a few verses. Either of these is fine. Read for life change and in a deeper understanding. Don't just read to check a box. If you want to hear God speak, then you need to read your Bible.